Welcome back. This week's Torah portion is called Vayetzi, which literally means, and he went out. It is Genesis 28:10 through 32, verse 2. And to give you a little backstory, last week, Jacob took his brother Esau's birthright and his blessing. So Esau is really mad right now at Yaakov and wants to kill him. So Yaakov's mother, Rivka, Rivka and Yitzhak, has told Yaakov to go to Rivka's family up in Haran to find a wife to kind of save him from his brother's wrath. So that's where we begin. And it starts, Now Yaakov went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. Oh, I forgot to mention, this week we have lots of Aleph and Tavs. In fact, 6 I found just today from previously where I had missed them. And we also have Tittle in chapter 30, which is an enlarged pay. And it's a pay Sophie, actually. And I'll point that out when we get to it. So, let's begin. Now Yaakov went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. So he came to a certain place and stayed there all night, because the sun had set. And he took one of the stones of that place and put it at his head, and he lay down in that place to sleep. Then he dreamed, and behold, a ladder was set up on the earth, and its top reached to heaven, and there the angels of Elohim were ascending and descending on it. Kind of like the story in John 1:51. And behold, Yahovah stood above it and said, Anohi Yahovah Elohai of Abraham, your father, and Elohai of Yitzhak. The land on which you lie I will give to you and your descendants. Also your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth. You shall spread abroad to the west and the east, to the north and the south, and in you and in your seed all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Behold, I am with you, and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land. For I will not leave you until I have done Aleph and Tav, what I have spoken to you. Then Yaakov awoke from his sleep, and said, Surely Yahovah is in this place, and I did not know it. And he was afraid, and said, How awesome is this place! This is none other than the Beit of Elohim, and this is the gate of heaven. Then Yaakov rose early in the morning, and took the stone that he had put at his head, set it up as a pillar, and poured oil on top of it. And he called the name of that place Beit El, but the name of that city had been Luz previously. Then Yaakov made a vow, saying, If Elohim will be with me, and keep me in this way that I am going, and give me bread to eat, and clothing to put on, so that I come back to my father's house in peace, then Yahovah shall be to me Elohim, and this stone which I have set as a pillar shall be Elohim, the house of Elohim. And of all that you give me, I will surely give a tenth to you. So Yaakov went on his journey, and came to the land of the people of the east. And he looked, and saw a well in the field. And behold, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it, for out of that well they watered the flocks. A large stone was on the well's mouth. Now all the flocks would be gathered there, and they would roll the stone from the well's mouth, water the sheep, and put the stone back in its place on the well's mouth. And Yaakov said to them, My brethren, where are you from? And they said, We are from Haran. Then he said to them, Do you know Lavan, the son of Nahor? And they said, We know him. So he said to them, "Is he well?" And they said, "He is well, and look, his daughter Rachel is coming with the sheep." Then he said, "Look, it is still high day. It is not time for the cattle to be gathered together. Water the sheep and go and feed them." But they said, "We cannot until all the flocks are gathered together, and they have rolled the stone from the well's mouth. Then we water the sheep." Now while he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. And it came to pass, when Yaakov saw Rachel the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban his mother's brother, that Yaakov went near, and rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the flock of Laban his mother's brother. Then Yaakov kissed Rachel, and lifted up his voice, and wept. And Yaakov told Rachel that he was her father's relative, and that he was Rivkah's son. So she ran and told her father. Then it came to pass, when Laban heard the report about Yaakov, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him, embraced him, and kissed him, and brought him to his house. So he told Laban all these things. And Laban said to him, "Surely you are my bone and my flesh." And he stayed with him for a month. Then Laban said to Yaakov, "Because you are my relative, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what should your wages be?" Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were delicate or weak, but Rachel was beautiful of form and appearance. Now Yaakov loved Rachel, so he said, "I will serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter." And Laban said, "It is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to another man. Stay with me." So Yaakov served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed only a few days to him because of the love he had for her. Then Yaakov said to Laban, "Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in to her." And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. Now it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah his daughter and brought her to Yaakov, and he went in to her. And Laban gave his maid Zilpah to his daughter Leah as a maid. So it came to pass in the morning that, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, "What is this you have done to me? Was it not for Rachel that I served you? Why then have you deceived me?" And Laban said, "It must not be done so in our country, to to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give you this one also for the service which you will serve with me still another 7 years." Then Yaakov did so and fulfilled her week. So he gave him his daughter Rachel as wife also. And Laban gave his maid Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as a maid. Then Yaakov also went in to Rachel, and he loved Rachel more than Leah, and he served with Laban still another 7 years. When Yahovah saw that Leah was unloved, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. So Leah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Reuben, for she said, "Yahovah has surely looked on my affliction. Now therefore my husband will love me." Then she conceived again and bore a son, and said, "Because Yahovah has heard that I am unloved, he has therefore given me this son also." And she called his name Shimeon. She conceived again and bore a son, and said, "Now this time my husband will become attached to me, because I have borne him 3 sons." Therefore his name was called Levi. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, "Now I will praise Yahovah." Therefore she called his name Yehudah. Then she stopped bearing. Now when Rachel saw that she bore Yaakov no children, Rachel envied her sister, and said to Yaakov, "Give me children, or else I die." And Yaakov's anger was aroused against Rachel, and he said, "Am I in the place of Elohim, who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb?" So she said, "Here is my maid Bilhah. Go in to her, and she will bear on my knees, that I also may have children by her." Then she gave him Bilhah, her maid, as wife, and Yaakov went in to her. And Bilhah conceived and bore Yaakov a son. Then Rachel said, "Elohim has judged my case, and he has also heard my voice and given me a son." Therefore she called his name Dan. Then Rachel's maid Bilhah conceived again and bore Yaakov a second son. Then Rachel said, "With wrestlings of God I have wrestled with my sister, and indeed I have prevailed." So she called his name Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had stopped bearing, she took Zilpah her maid and gave her to Yaakov as wife. And Leah's maid Zilpah bore Yaakov a son. Then Leah said, "A troop," or literally fortune, comes. So she called his name Gad. And Leah's maid Zilpah bore Yaakov a second son. Then Leah said, "I am happy, for the daughters will call me blessed." So she called his name Asher. Now Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest, and found mandrakes in the field, and brought them to his mother Leah. When Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." But she said to her, "Is it a small matter that you have taken away my husband? Would you take away my son's mandrakes also?" And Rachel said, "Therefore he will lie with you tonight for your son's mandrakes." When Yaakov came out of the field in the evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, "You must come in to me, for I have surely hired you with my son's mandrakes." And she lay with her, and he lay with her that night. And Elohim listened to Leah, and she conceived and bore Yaakov a fifth son. Leah said, "Elohim has given me my wages," or reward, "because I have given my maid to my husband." So she called his name Yissaskar. That one's a hard one for me. Then Leah conceived again and bore Yaakov a sixth son. And Leah said, "Elohim has endowed me with a good endowment. Now my husband will dwell," or literally honor me, "because I have borne him 6 sons." So she called his name Zebulun. Afterward she bore a daughter, and called her name Dinah. Then Elohim remembered Rachel, and Elohim listened to her, and opened her womb. And she conceived and bore a son, and said, "Elohim has taken away my reproach." So she called his name Joseph, and said, "Yahovah shall add to me another son." And it came to pass, when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Yaakov said to Laban, "Send me away, that I may go to my own place and to my country. Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served you, and let me go, for you know my service which I have done for you." And Laban said to him, "Please, if I have found favor in your eyes, I have learned by experience that Yahovah has blessed me for your sake." Then he said, "Name me your wages, and I will give it." So he said to him, "You know, Aleph and Tav, how I have served you, and, Aleph Tav, how your livestock has been with me. For what you had before me was little, and it has increased to a great amount. Yahovah has blessed you since my coming, and now, when shall I also provide for my own house?" So he said, "What shall I give you?" And Yaakov said, "You shall not give me anything. If you will do this thing for me, I will again feed and keep your flocks. Let me pass through all your flock today, removing from there all the speckled and spotted sheep, and all the brown ones among the lambs, and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and these shall be my wages. So my righteousness will answer for me in time to come, when the subject of my wages comes before you. Every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and brown among the lambs will be considered stolen if it is with me." And Laban said, "Oh, that it were according to your word." So he removed that day the male goats that were speckled and spotted, and then the Aleph and Tav is after that. All the female goats that were speckled and spotted, every one that had some white in it, and all the brown ones among the lambs, and gave them into the hand of his sons. Then he put 3 days' journey between himself and Yaakov, and Yaakov fed the rest of Laban's flocks. Now Yaakov took for himself rods of green poplar, and of the almond and chestnut trees, peeled white strips in them, and exposed the white which was in the rods. And the rods which he had peeled he set before the flocks in the gutters, in the watering troughs, where the flocks came to drink, so that they should conceive when they came to drink. So the flocks conceived before the rods, and the flocks brought forth streaked, speckled, and spotted. Then Yaakov separated the lambs, and made the flocks face toward the streaked, and all the brown in the flocks of Laban. But he put his own flocks by themselves, and did not put them with Laban's flock. And it came to pass, whenever the stronger livestock conceived, that Yaakov placed the rods before the eyes of the livestock in the gutters, that they might conceive among the rods. But when the flocks were feeble, which is where our enlarged pay is, literally it's in the word, but when they were feeble, and then the flocks is the next word, he did not put them in, so the feebler were Laban's and the stronger Yaakov's. Thus the man became exceedingly prosperous, and had large flocks, female and male servants, and camels and donkeys. Now he heard the words of Laban's son, saying, "Yaakov has taken away, the Aleph and Tav, all that was our father's, and from what was our father's he has acquired, Aleph and Tav, all this wealth." And Yaakov saw the countenance of Laban, and indeed it was not favorable toward him as before. Then Yahovah said to Yaakov, "Return to the land of your fathers, and to your family, and I will be with you." So Yaakov went and called Rachel and Leah to the field to his flock, and said to them, "I see your father's countenance, that is not toward me as before, but Elohei of my father has been with me. And you know that with all my might I have served your father. Yet your father has deceived me and changed my wages 10 times, but Elohim did not allow him to hurt me. If he said thus, the speckled shall be your wages, then all the flocks bore speckled. And if he said thus, the streaked shall be your wages, then all the flocks bore streaked. So Elohim has taken away the livestock of your father and given them to me." And it happened at that time, when the flocks conceived, that I lifted my eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the rams which leapt upon the flocks were streaked, speckled, and gray spotted. Then the angel of Ha Elohim spoke to me in a dream, saying, "Yaakov." And I said, "Hineni." And he said, "Lift your eyes now and see. All the rams which leap on the flocks are streaked, speckled, and gray spotted. For I have seen Aleph and Tav, all that Laban is doing to you. Ani Ha'el of Bethel, where you anointed the pillar, and where you made a vow to me. Now arise, get out of this land, and return to the land of your family." Then Rachel and Leah answered and said to him, Is there still any portion or inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not considered strangers by him? For he has sold us, and also completely consumed our money. For all these riches which Elohim has taken from our father are really ours and our children's. Now then, whatever Elohim has said to you, do it. Then Yaakov rose and set his sons and his wives on camels, and he carried away all his livestock and all his possessions which he had gained, his acquired livestock which he had gained in Padan Aram, to go to his father Yitzhak in the land of Canaan. Now Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the household idols that were her father's. And Yaakov stole away unknown to Laban the Syrian, and that he did not tell him that he intended to flee. So he fled with all that he had. He arose and crossed the river and headed toward the mountains of Gilead. And Laban was told on the third day that Yaakov had fled. Then he took his brethren with him and pursued him for 7 days' journey, and he overtook him in the mountains of Gilead. But Elohim had come to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night, and said to him, Be careful that you speak to Yaakov, neither good nor bad. So Laban overtook Yaakov. Now Yaakov had pitched his tent in the mountains, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the mountains of Gilead. And Laban said to Yaakov, What have you done, that you have stolen away unknown to me, and carried away my daughters like captives, taken with the sword? Why did you flee away secretly and steal away from me, and not tell me? For I might have sent you away with joy and songs, with timbrel and harp, and you did not allow me to kiss my sons and my daughters? Now you have done foolishly in so doing. It is in my power to do you harm. But Elohai of your father spoke to me last night, saying, Be careful that you speak to Yaakov neither good nor bad. And now you have surely gone, because you greatly long for your father's house. But why did you steal my gods? Then Yaakov answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I said, Perhaps you would take your daughters from me by force. With whomever you find your gods, do not let him live. In the presence of our brethren, identify what I have of yours, and take it with you. For Yaakov did not know that Rachel had stolen them. And Laban went into Yaakov's tent, into Leah's tent, and into the two maids' tent, but he did not find them. Then he went out of Leah's tent, and entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household items, put them in the camel's saddle, and sat on them. And Laban searched all about the tent, but did not find them. And she said to her father, Let it not displease my lord that I cannot rise before you, for the manner of women is with me. And he searched, but did not find the household idols. Then Yaakov was angry and rebuked Laban. And Yaakov answered and said to Laban, What is my trespass? What is my sin that you have so hotly pursued me? Although you have searched all my things, what part of your household things have you found? Set it here before my brethren and your brethren, that they may judge between us both. These 20 years I have been with you. Your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried their young, and I have not eaten the rams of your flock. That which was torn by beast I did not bring to you. I bore the loss of it. You required it from my hand, stolen by day or stolen by night. There I was. In the day the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep departed from my eyes. Thus I have been in your house 20 years. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flock, and you have changed my wages 10 times. Unless the Elohai of my father, the Elohai of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had been with me, surely now you would have sent me away empty-handed. Elohim has seen my affliction and the labor of my hands, and rebuked you last night. And Laban answered and said to Yaakov, These daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and this flock is my flock. All that you see is mine. But what can I do this day to these my daughters, or to their children whom they have borne? Now therefore, come, let us make a covenant, you and I, and let it be a witness between you and me. So Yaakov took a stone and set it up as a pillar. Then Yaakov said to his brethren, Gather stones. And they took stones and made a heap, and they ate there on the heap. Laban called it Yager Sahadutha, but Yaakov called it Galeed. And Laban said, This heap is a witness between you and me this day. Therefore its name was called Galeed, also Mitzvah, because he said, May Yahovah watch between you and me when we are absent from one another. If you afflict my daughters, or if you take other wives besides my daughters, although no man is with us, see, Elohim is witness between you and me. Then Laban said to Yaakov, Here is this heap, and here is this pillar, which I have placed between you and me. This heap is a witness, and this pillar is a witness, that I will not pass beyond this heap to you, and you will not pass beyond this heap and this pillar to me for harm. Elohai of Abraham, the Elohai of Nahor, and the Elohai of their father, judge between us. And Yaakov swore by the fear of his father Isaac. Then Yaakov offered a sacrifice on the mountain, and called his brethren to eat bread. And they ate bread and stayed all night on the mountain. And early in the morning Laban arose and kissed his sons and daughters and blessed them. Then Laban departed and returned to his place. So Yaakov went on his way, and the angels of Elohim met him. When Yaakov saw them, he said, This is the camp of Elohim. And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. The Haftorah portion is Hosea 12, verse 12, to chapter 14, verse 9 of Hosea.